declaring jurisdiction over the web and saying what you can and can't say. In many countries in Europe, you're not allowed to criticize the government or you get arrested now. This is a tyranny. And so they set the precedent that, oh, we don't let extremists have speech, and then it turns out to be everybody. If everyone doesn't have free speech, no one does. And, of course, we're going to go into a violent climate with the economy imploding, joblessness well above 22%. The government says 9.6, total fraud, according to all the mainline economists out there. We have this sickening culture of death. I was watching this guy's videos. It's him dressed up as a Grim Reaper, playing really freaked out Marilyn Manson style, watch the bodies hit the floor, watch the bodies hit the floor. All this stuff that little guys in the basement who only eat MSG-filled Hot Pockets, they sit in there playing violent death video games all day. They can't get any women. They think they're real tough walking around the streets. You see them all the time, like, 10 or 15 of them walking down the drag at UT in black, all trying to look scary. And I'm just like, automatically just want to, I see a pack of weakness. I just want to, who wants some war? I'm like, here I am, punks. And they always scurry off. But they're real tough when they got a gun. They're a bunch of vampire wannabe pibs dressed up in black that think they're tough. And every once in a while, they're all into having crazed eyes and trying to scare people. In fact, if we can, let's put that image of this scumbag back up there. Whether he was mind-controlled or not, he was definitely a schizophrenic Fruit Loop. You can't make up this type of violent, paranoid schizophrenia. Go watch these videos. This guy dressed up like a Grim Reaper, burning an American flag, and just look into his eyes. Just a crazed scumbag. Let me tell you something. That's what the Second Amendment's for. Mexico has now had 30,000 deaths. I keep saying 28,000 deaths for like the last 6 months. I looked up the numbers this weekend. It passed in December over 30,000 deaths in the last 2 years down there. Police, mayors, members of their Congress, they've had presidential candidates killed. They have a total gun ban in Mexico. No citizen can own a gun. You got a paramilitary, out of control, narcotics trafficking state, more citizens, more cops, more members of government being killed because there's a total gun ban. The answer is more guns. It was citizens that tackled this lunatic and stopped him. It was a woman that grabbed the clip away after he'd fired a bunch of rounds. It was men that then tackled him. Good job for them. There should have been a concealed carry person there to kill that guy. Somebody like that came around here, I got a .357 Magnum right here to deal with them. And that Congresswoman should have been packing heat. We'll be right back. Stay with us. More guns, less crime. We can stop this scum. Jared Lee Loughner fits the bill in photographs, looks like a complete psychopath. You watch his videos, into death, into darkness. If you had to look at his type, he's basically like an Eric Harris or a Klebold Columbine type who liked communists, who liked Nazis, who was an atheist. He was an atheist. He was into death. He made jokes constantly at college about loving abortion. It's always the same. The guy that shot up the Pentagon was into that. The Harris and Klebold were into that. And boy, if you research that, that had weird government fingerprints all over it. 240-something bombs brought into the building. That's CBS News. Half the school empty. Harris and Klebold made weird videos about attacking the school. Nothing was done. They had death education at the school. They were on Prozac-type drugs. It was confirmed in the Rocky Mountain newspaper that the SWAT team had at least shot some of the kids. Other witnesses said there were other shooters inside. That was said with this event. I mean, when you really study this stuff, it gets super creepy. And is this a mind control program, some type of mind control overlay, that they're always into black trench coats and things, and he's dressing up like the Grim Reaper, burning American flags, and he loves the Communist Manifesto? And then CNN, MSNBC. Here's Politico right here. I'll show folks watching on PrisonPlanet.tv a document cam shot. It says Loughner's ties to conspiracy theory. And it's just bizarre to see that. Then he also claims he was part of a secret government operation in Afghanistan. You see that with McVeigh, and then in court documents it turned out he was involved in secret Army operations after he got out. You see that with these other shooters. But it mirrors normal schizophrenia, normal paranoid, delusional schizophrenics. Because when the government gets you for an MK-Ultra type mind control operation, on record, this came out in the congressional hearings, we're going to cover it with an expert coming up in the next segment, they break your mind into compartments. And then you have a compulsion. If you want to see an accurate representation of it, see the movie The Manchurian Candidate, the new version with Denzel Washington, minus the microchips. They do admittedly have chips that can control the brain. I saw studies over 30 years ago in the 70s, done in the 70s, where they had remote control cockroaches, rats, monkeys, and now humans. Humans who are paralyzed have volunteered and had chips put in their brains and been able to get motor control. But it's just a very, very bizarre what's going on. But to see the media go into absolute overdrive with this and really call for restricting free speech, it is extremely creepy. Speaking of conspiracy theory, before I go further, in 2000, in 2005, over 90% of the scientists from two different federal agencies, the Food and Drug Administration, but also the Environmental Protection Agency, got together, and the heads of their unions sent giant signed letters, signed by thousands, to Congress and others saying sodium fluoride is causing brain damage, at least doubling cancer. Here's the mainline studies. It's causing dental fluorosis. Please take it out of the water. We get called kooks for that. Well, here is MSNBC and Associated Press. Too much fluoride in water, government says. High levels cause spots on teeth. Recommended limit to be lowered. See, they know you're waking up and filtering it, so they're going, okay, we'll lower it. But it's being added to food now. It's being added to it's in the toothpaste, folks, and causing your teeth to fracture and causing dental fluorosis is only the tip of the iceberg. But again, we were kooks to talk about that for decades. Now it's admitted, and more is coming out. We were kooks to tell you that the regular flu shot, again, more than doubles your chances of getting next season's flu. That's mainline, hundreds of studies going back decades. Now that's admitted. British Medical Journal. 10-fold increase in seizures in children that take flu shots regularly. Now they're calling for it not to be given to people under 6. More and more of what we cover here. Just go back 5 years ago, you'd be a kook if you talked about the Federal Reserve. It was a buzzword. Now, 80+% wanted audited or abolished in Gallup polls, and we're very close to auditing it, and people know it's what really runs the country. So, just like people didn't know about the Federal Reserve being private 5 years ago, or fluoride being deadly 5 years ago, most people don't know mind control is certified, admitted, tens of billions have been spent on it. It's real, folks. It's not just in Hollywood movies. We're going to be covering that. But first, I want to play this sickening clip where they say Ayn Rand is bad. I mean, a best-selling author, dead for decades, a feminist, not liberal, not conservative. Now it's her fault. And then David Icke, former head of the Green Party in England, if you had to give him a mainstream label, a liberal New Ager, calls for total Zen Buddhist, nonviolence. And that's who the Southern Poverty Law Center blames for this. It is outrageous, outrageous. It's a 7-minute clip. It's up on Infowars.com and watch the whole thing. And they also claim if you're into precious metals, you're somehow a terrorist. Because the guy mumbled about currencies, which he wasn't even talking about silver and gold. I mean, this guy is crazy. Any way you slice it, whether it's happened naturally or it's artificial. And I mean, do we blame every liberal out there because the guy liked the Communist Manifesto? I mean, this is, since when in America, these people want to silence political debate. They want to demonize anybody having free speech to shut it down.
I think is almost certainly meant to be conscious streaming, which is an idea that also has been kind of tossed around on the radical right, in particular by a kind of British conspiracy theorist by the name of David Icke. So a lot of these ideas, his burning of the flag, his talking about the government as treasonous, and using mind control to control the rest of us and so on, these are all ideas or kind of shards of ideas that exist very
And then I've got a whole stack of mainstream news calling for restricting freedom on the web, people getting in trouble if they talk bad about the government. Potok of the Southern Slimy Center is there trying to demonize the libertarian conservative movement in this country. This country was founded on small government, founded on not trusting it. Look at the trouble we've gotten in because of big government. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. He then goes on to say the radical right is into silver and gold. That's in the Constitution that's our money. But now Congress isn't even controlling our currency. That's controlled by the private Federal Reserve in violation of the Constitution. So just incredible. And as things get worse and worse, as Gerald Celente says, when people lose everything, they lose it. When things get crazy, people get crazy. And they're going to try to use this to bring even more tyranny. We're going to look at the mind control angle straight ahead. We're going to be looking next hour at Jared Lee Loughner. And I got to tell you, the evidence is leaning towards mind control. Electroshock, drugs, then they literally program the brain where they have a compulsion to kill. He told friends that. He talked about it on his MySpace. And I don't come at this just because I like to say, oh, there aren't lunatics out there that go out and do violent things. I come at this because I've been doing research for 16 years on air, really 18 years on and off air. And I have the LA Times where it came out that the Unabomber, Theodore Kaczynski, was a CIA MK-Ultra mind control victim. He volunteered for it, when he was at Princeton, and then disappeared for several years. I know that Lee Harvey Oswald, it came out, and Jim Marrs, the real expert on that, supposed to talk about it, was in the same LSD experiments. You can't make this stuff up. And then when you look at a lot of the other famous people, Sirhan, I mean, I've got London Independent and the Guardian newspaper saying conclusively it was a Manchurian candidate. Mark David Chapman, complete operation. Told friends and family, girlfriend who's working for the government. John Hinckley Jr. We could spend hours on each one of these. The point is, these are real programs. This is going on. But as for the idea that we can go download your computer when you kill somebody and then blame anyone that you liked for it is crazy. And the media said there were WMDs in Iraq when they knew it wasn't true, and now over 1 million dead Iraqis, 6,000 dead U.S. troops. There you can really point out where lies are leading to violence. But the government's doing politically destructive things. There is a move towards revolution in this country. I want to keep it peaceful. But right now, they have a reason to stage these false flags, to mail government buildings, these firecracker bombs, as a way to start using this giant police state and the telescreens going in, the Walmarts and the surveillance and the TSA on the streets. That's what this is all about.